It started like any other Saturday morning. In the quiet cul-de-sac of Pinecrest Meadows. Birds chirped, sprinklers hissed, and my coffee steamed on the porch railing. I was halfway through my first sip when I saw them, 3 women in matching sundresses, oversized straw hats, and blindingly white sneakers. They strutted past my private property sign like it was invisible. At first, I thought maybe they were lost. But then one of them, the one I'd soon come to know as Karen, raised her phone, tilted her chin, and shouted, "Okay ladies. This is the perfect lighting. #golden hour." They weren't lost. They were trespassing, for Instagram photos. My backyard, a serene stretch of 2 acres with wildflowers and an old oak tree, had apparently become aesthetic. They posed on my swing, climbed my fence, and even spread a picnic blanket near my koi pond. I was frozen, coffee in hand, torn between disbelief and fury. I walked over, trying to stay calm. "Excuse me," I said, "you're on private property." Karen turned, mid-pose, and gave me the kind of smile people reserve for waiters who forgot the ranch dressing. "Oh, don't worry," she said. "We'll be quick. We're from the HOA's social media committee." That made it worse. The HOA committee. The same group that fined me last month for having my trash can visible from the street was now trampling my flower beds for likes. I told them they needed to leave immediately. But Karen, with her perfectly manicured nails and unwarranted confidence, just laughed. "Relax," she said. "We're promoting community spirit. You should be grateful we chose your yard, it's so rustic." Rustic. That word stung. When they finally left, they left behind crushed tulips, muddy footprints, and an empty kombucha bottle. I spent the rest of the day simmering. That night, when I checked Instagram, there they were, smiling under my oak tree. Tagged at #Pinecrest Meadows Lifestyle. My yard. My land. My violation turned into their aesthetic backdrop. That's when I made my decision. If they wanted photos, I'd give them something worth photographing. But not for free. The next morning, I pulled out my old sketchpad and started designing. Private cabanas. String lights. A hot tub. Hammocks between the trees. A sign that read, "Welcome to Willow Creek Retreat, private access only." By the time I finished sketching, I was grinning. If the HOA wanted community spirit, I'd give them luxury, at a price. The trespassers had awakened something in me. A petty vengeance, maybe. But also, a brilliant business idea. This wasn't just about teaching Karen a lesson anymore. It was about turning irritation into income. They wanted to use my land for free photos. Fine. From now on, every picture would come with a price tag. The next week was chaos, in the best possible way. I turned my irritation into blueprints, my anger into action. The HOA had pushed me around for years. Letters about unsightly bird feeders. Warnings about non-regulation mailbox paint. But this time, I wasn't just defending my land. I was elevating it. I started by calling the county office. "Hi," I said, keeping my voice steady. "I'd like to inquire about setting up a private outdoor retreat on my property." The clerk asked, "For personal or commercial use?" "Private," I said. "But occasionally rentable for photo shoots." I could almost hear her raise an eyebrow. Over the next few days, I built like a person possessed. My cousin helped me assemble a small wooden deck near the pond. I ordered fairy lights, portable hot tubs, and hammocks. A local landscaper installed stepping stones and bamboo fencing for privacy. I wasn't building a backyard anymore, I was building an experience. Every nail I hammered felt like revenge for every petty HOA letter I'd ever received. Karen drove by one afternoon, slowing down as she saw the setup unfolding. Her SUV paused, and her window rolled down. "What's all this?" she asked, voice dripping with suspicion. "Oh, just a private retreat," I said. "Exclusive access only. You know, since people like to take photos here." Her lips tightened. You can't just build whatever you want. The HOA has rules. I smiled. Actually, Karen, I checked. Everything's within residential code. You might want to check your bylaws again. Her face turned the color of ripe tomatoes before she drove off. The next week, I put up a small sign by the road. Willow Creek Retreat, by appointment only, $50 per hour. No HOA members without reservation. Within 2 days, I had 5 bookings from local influencers and a yoga instructor. They paid through Venmo. They posed by the pond. Snapped pictures on the swing. And, most importantly, respected the space. Karen didn't. The HOA sent me a letter that began with, "It has come to our attention." I didn't even finish reading it. I just framed it and hung it by the entrance. The irony was delicious. My once unsightly yard had become the neighborhood's most desired spot. And the same people who'd trespassed for free now had to pay for the privilege. But I wasn't done yet. I had plans for expansion, and a little surprise for the next HOA meeting. By the 3rd week, Willow Creek Retreat had taken on a life of its own. I was fully booked on weekends. Locals brought their pets, photographers loved the lighting. And I'd even hosted a small engagement shoot. But with success came the inevitable, Karen's retaliation. She showed up at my door one morning, clipboard in hand. HOA badge shining like a sheriff's star. "We've had complaints," she announced. "Apparently, your resort is disrupting the neighborhood aesthetic." I gestured behind her at the neighboring lawns, half of them dead. One with a rusted swing set. Another with Christmas lights still up from December. Disrupting what, exactly? "This isn't a resort community," she snapped. "It's a family neighborhood. We can't have strangers wandering around." I crossed my arms. They're not strangers, they're paying guests. Respectful ones, unlike certain people who trespass. That hit a nerve. She turned bright red. That was a misunderstanding. We were promoting the community. "Right," I said, "by trampling my tulips." She fumed. "If you don't shut this operation down, the HOA will take legal action." But I'd done my research. Every deck, every light, every fence, fully permitted. My business was private, small scale, and fully within residential zoning. I showed her the paperwork. Her smile faltered. "Well," she muttered, "we'll see about that." 2 days later, the HOA meeting was packed. Karen stood at the front, ranting about commercial activities on residential property. When it was my turn to speak, I calmly handed out glossy prints of the retreat, complete with invoices showing the revenue I'd already donated to a local park fund. The room murmured. "So," I said, "technically, my private land is improving community spaces. Any objections?" Karen stammered. The president of the HOA, a usually stoic man named Bill, looked impressed. "Frankly," he said, "it's one of the nicest properties we have. Maybe we could even host our next HOA picnic there." The look on Karen's face was pure poetry. After that night, the hostility shifted. Some neighbors started asking if they could book sessions. Even the ones who'd complained wanted to use the hot tub. The retreat had become the crown jewel of Pinecrest Meadows, ironically built out of spite. But Karen wasn't done. No, she had one more card to play. I could feel it. And when she played it, I'd be ready. It happened during peak season. My resort was thriving, people booked weeks in advance. I even added a small outdoor bar with mocktails and a grill. Everything was perfect. Until one morning, I walked outside to find a big red HOA notice nailed to my fence. "Cease operations immediately." Karen had done it again. She must have spent weeks gathering signatures, twisting words, and bending bylaws to declare my retreat a nuisance. My guests couldn't enter that day, and I had to refund 2 bookings. I was furious, but not defeated. I called my lawyer friend, Emma, who reviewed the notice. After a long pause, she grinned. "They made a huge mistake," she said. "This was filed under commercial enterprise. But you've only been accepting donations, right? A spark ignited in my mind. Exactly, I said. Voluntary donations for maintenance. Within 24 hours, I updated everything: signage, website, even my Venmo description. Suggested donation for property maintenance, $50 per hour. Legally airtight. When Karen found out, she nearly combusted. She stormed onto my property, shouting, "You're mocking the HOA." I smiled, holding up a lemonade. No, Karen. I'm maintaining community aesthetics through donations. Word spread fast. Local news even did a short feature titled, "Men Turns HOA Feud into Backyard Oasis." The comments were glorious. People called me a genius, a hero, a suburban legend. The next HOA meeting was standing room only. I brought a slideshow, before and after pictures of my yard, community donation receipts, and testimonials from happy visitors. When I finished, Bill, the HOA president, stood and said, "Perhaps instead of fighting innovation, we should celebrate it." The vote passed. Willow Creek Retreat was officially recognized as a community-enhancing project. Karen's motion to shut me down failed, unanimously. As she sat, arms crossed, I leaned over and whispered, "Smile. Karen. You're on the brochure." A week later, I hosted the first official HOA picnic, right on the deck she once trespassed across. Families laughed, kids played by the pond. And even Karen showed up, sipping a lemonade like nothing had happened. That's when I realized something. Revenge didn't just feel good, it could be beautiful. I'd turned frustration into freedom. Petty HOA politics into passive income. And every time I saw someone pose under my oak tree, I smiled. Because they weren't trespassing anymore. They were paying guests. Karen still tries to micromanage, of course. But now, when she brings her clipboard near my property, I just wave and say, "Welcome to Willow Creek, Karen. Please, don't forget to tag us on Instagram." She never does. Because deep down, even she knows, I won.